Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gabel.
And my name is Jacob Wurtz, guys. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 20. If this is your first time joining us for the Untapped Podcast, first of all, thank you for joining us. We are thrilled to have you here. We've actually got 5 main formats of our show. So first, and this is what we have today, we have Forging Fortitude episodes. Now, in these episodes, we cover the mental side of our brand, okay? We are combining the mental and physical here, okay? So in these episodes, we cover a lot of our anecdotal experience with mindset and mentality. We give you tips to then apply to your own life. Next, we have Physical Vitality episodes. In these episodes, we get to showcase our expertise, okay? We have 2 certified personal trainers here. So in these episodes, we cover everything to do with the physical side, okay? We cover fitness, the gym, workouts, diet, nutrition, workout programs like 75 Hard, and sometimes we even pull up articles of things that are trending in the fitness industry, and we go over those.
Yes, sir. Third format, ladies and gentlemen, is our breaking news format. Now, that is a current event-based format. We bring up articles, same thing as Wurtz just said with the physical vitalities. We bring up articles that are going on in the world. Maui wildfires are a good example of a current event going on right now that we would talk about.
Not an accident.
Totally. Yeah, totally accidental, coincidental.
Good thing I have these handy.
Of course, I forgot mine. But guys, that is current event based. So we also go over articles. We talk about how history connects to the current day, what we want to avoid, our opinions on the subject. It's a lot of fun. Those episodes are a lot of fun, but they also are an important listen because we should be up to date on current events.
You have to be.
We shouldn't live in them, but we should be updated on them.
100%.
Fourth format, guys, is our Knights Table format. That is a masculinity-based format. Now, keep in mind, I'm 25, Wurtz is 24, my brother's 23. So we're bringing you on the journey of becoming a masculine man as we continue to get older and older as well. And we want you guys to focus on becoming a strong father, strong husband, and individually yourself a strong man, because the more strong men we have in this world, the better, as we have seen in history past.
Absolutely.
And coming up a little bit more now. Now, our fifth format, guys, fifth and final format is our guest format. That is when we sit down with somebody who brings you value of some sort. Could be a fitness professional, entrepreneur, somebody that is a professional in their field, maybe is a very inspirational story like Mr. JT Thomas we had on our last episode. Not last episode, our last guest episode, I should say. Phenomenal listen there. And guys, our last thing to introduce is our producer and my brother, Mitchell Gabel.
What's the word, lads?
The man himself.
Lads.
me.
Like
Going
that.
on,
Money
dude?
Mitch.
Not much.
You guys know what's awesome? Freaking Yellowstone.
Okay.
The show?
I was,
So,
yeah.
I know
I
I'm
was
late
waiting
to
to hear
it.
about this.
Yeah, I know I'm late to it, but I'm 4 episodes into the first season.
Yep.
Dude, you guys want to move to Montana?
Yes.
Like tomorrow.
Okay.
I can feel my testosterone levels raising as I'm watching it.
Yes.
It is absolutely
Yeah,
awesome.
and then you moved. If you moved to Montana, then your testosterone
Then what?
levels are well above average level,
Without a doubt.
easily.
Yeah, no, it's just sick, dude. Like the
Yep.
whole idea, and I understand there's like a ton of hard work that goes into running a ranch, and they have 200,000 acres.
No, it's 700,000.
I think they said 200,000.
They'll describe it later.
It's
in
basically the
yeah.
size of like Rhode Island.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
okay.
what they
Casual.
say. Yeah.
Okay, casual.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
no big deal.
Mm.
Yeah, Kevin Costner, beast.
Yep.
It's actually pretty cool because obviously I'm a baseball guy, so when I think of Kevin Costner, I only see him in baseball movie roles.
Yep.
You know, like Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, like things like that. And to see him in this kind of a role is actually really cool because it's so different from any of those other ones. And I think he fits it so freaking well, dude. Like,
Yep.
It's just a badass show.
Well, and again, the biggest thing too, and I told you about this before you started it as well. The producer Taylor Sheridan, all of his shows he has, including Yellowstone was the first one I ever got introduced to. They're all very traditional shows.
For
They
sure.
they show very like traditional values, like handle your own shit.
Yeah,
Somebody messes with
absolutely.
you mess right back.
Yeah.
That type of thing. They don't take any shit in the show. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal because usually we get the pandering and whatnot in most TV
Sure.
shows these days and movies.
Bureaucracy and-
Yeah, all that
right.
garbage. And now you actually get a show that seems to how do I put this? It fits well with a lot of blue collar
Things that we're
and
missing.
Midwest Americans
Oh,
and
yeah.
and the regular American instead of the New York and the Los Angeles Americans.
For sure.
You know, and
For
that's
sure.
that's satisfying for
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
And it's just like the whole, if someone punches you in the face, you punch back, literally and figuratively, you know? And I mean, the dude's got a freaking helicopter, which is sick. Like,
for a ranch.
yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really
So
good. And
cool.
I know most of you have probably seen this already and whatnot, but finally started it, and I am not upset about it.
Very, very glad you're enjoying
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah, it's
I'm
sick.
pumped about that.
I'm
dude.
going to go learn how to ride a horse tomorrow, I think.
And you're alive now. Your head's with us now too.
Yeah, my head is back. Yeah. For those of you that maybe saw my Instagram story today, it was my first time back in the gym after about a week off. Not about a week, it was 7 days. And couldn't tell you last time I took 7 days off from the gym in a row. But last week had a couple weird instances in the gym mid-lift where I was getting this pain and more throbbing and pulsing in the back of my head. And I've never had any kind of head injuries or concussion. I mean, hell, I've never even broken a bone for that matter, knock on wood here. But so it scared me a little bit. And thankfully we've got a really good physical therapist at the place I work. The second day it happened, there was another House of Pain member who is a nurse, so I talked to him. He's been a nurse for I think he said 28 years.
Damn.
I was like, damn, you've been a nurse longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, he's been in that.
Yeah, and he's jacked, which is sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. They're healthcare professionals.
Always decked out in first form gear. I think he actually has some sort of affiliation, honestly.
Maybe Legionnaire or something like that.
I need to find that out.
Sure.
But anyway, took a week off and really implemented some of the things I talked to about with those guys and some of the methods that they suggested, and it certainly helped. Stayed active with some walks and runs and whatnot, nothing crazy, and finally got back in the gym and felt really good. Just going to have to kind of ease back into it a bit and be a little bit more conscious of, form, breathing, and things like that. This is actually something really interesting to bring up to you because I'm curious about your take on this. So when I gave another update to the physical therapist at my work, one of the last things I said to him in this particular conversation was I told him that I typically, almost every day, chew gum while I work out in my mind, to prevent myself from clenching up real tight, mid-lift or, when things are getting heavy, to not clench up. And he goes, well, honestly, I'd probably avoid that because that's giving your mind the trigger to chew or to masticate, and to bite down. And I was like, interesting. Like, it actually makes sense. So what I thought was doing the opposite could have actually been causing me to potentially be doing that.
I don't disagree with that take.
No, not at all.
His point makes sense, I think, because you're right. It is definitely a trigger. It's like most of the population has some kind of oral fixation. Like that's why we like eating good food, because we assume and we pair the two together of like, okay, good food means we put some into our mouth. Yeah. Gum tastes good, so we put that to our mouth. That type of thing. So the idea makes sense, because I'm trying to think when I do a heavier lift, do I like ever go like this? I don't usually catch myself. Usually I'm focusing on my breathing, and that helps offset it, but it definitely could be a thing.
Yeah, it could be.
That you were causing yourself to clench. I don't really know.
Could have been.
Because, again, that's a very unique case for you.
Yes.
In that scenario.
For sure.
So, but honestly, not a bad thing to bring to your attention on his part by any means. Yeah.
Not at all.
So,
and,
that's why PTs do what they do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about the Valsalva maneuver before on physical vitality episodes, or even EX Fit episodes and whatnot. Essentially what that is, guys, is as you're going on the eccentric part of a movement, which is the down movement, you are bracing yourself, you are holding your breath essentially, but really bracing your core, bracing your body, keeping it stable. And then as you exert the effort of the lift, so like on a bench press when you're pushing up, you're breathing out, and because of the amount of people that I know hold their breath the entire set, it's like, first of all, how are you doing that? But yeah, no, literally, Mitch is making ridiculous faces over there. But the amount of kids that do that, and not even just kids, but people that do that, is a lot. And I'm sure you've had plenty of experience with that as well.
Of course.
So I know I've always been good about breathing, but it could have just been part that. I think it was probably overuse, and I've probably built up some compensations because, when you have pain in a certain area, it's more than likely because of a different issue in a different part of your body. Mm-hmm. You might have, like a lot of baseball players have elbow issues, and a lot of times it's because of their shoulder. You and I have both had hip problems, but you've had pain in your lower back with your sciatic nerve. I had it in my knees. We fix our hips. We fix those other issues. I think what this could have been was I was getting really tight traps, neck, shoulders in general, potentially rhomboids, which are in the upper back there. And then it shot that pain up my neck and into the back of my head, So I think that's part of it too. So obviously stretching, Theragun, stuff like that. But anyway.
Yeah.
I'm back, feeling a lot better.
No, it's good though.
Still being cautious.
I think that's a good thing to point out just in case anybody's having a similar instance.
For
even
sure.
if it's some kind of, they're having, localized pain in a certain area, even in their shoulder, like you just said. It's like a call out. Like you took that week, you went on some lighter walks, went on some lighter runs and whatnot, and that was kind of your exercise for the week, and it let your body, take a second and reset.
Yeah.
And, sometimes is that needed? Like, don't get me wrong, JT always sends the memes of like David Goggins, like when you take a rest day, who's going to carry the boats? And it's like, well, yeah. That's what pops in my head every time I take a rest day.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you can't be Goggins every day. Sometimes you have to take a quick day off or a quick week off or whatever, and then you're back to your normal self. You're back to carrying the boats then.
Right.
Even better. So
now, if you're just sore, you do not need a week off.
Yeah, it's different.
Like, trust me.
Entirely different. Yeah.
It was very difficult for me to do this. It really was. But again, feeling better, being cautious, getting back into it. It felt good to be back in the gym today.
Good temperature check for yourself.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Anyway, this is not a physical vitality episode, although we just went on that for 10 minutes or so.
Again, that is our expertise, like you said.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, guys, for our Forging Fortitude episode today, we're going to be talking about the overall idea of the in-between time. And we're going to go over a couple different things with that. I'm sorry, I did not mean to disrespect you like that.
Yeah,
Money Mitch.
That was really bad.
Money Mitch.
Made me sound like McConnell over here. I'm about to have a stroke. Huh?
Damn.
What?
Damn. Money Mitch is going to have an excerpt from a book that. Are you just lost at that?
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell had a
When
mini
just
stroke.
froze on live
Mitch,
TV.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking you said McConnell. I thought you were like mispronounced McConaughey or something like that, like
No.
Matthew McConaughey. I was like, what are you talking about?
His buddy's
Okay.
lost.
Mitch McConnell, like,
Yes.
what was that
Yes, of
show?
course.
He looks like that turtle from that kid show.
Kermit?
Oh,
No.
no.
You know,
Over the
exactly.
hedge?
No, well, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Anywho, yeah, go ahead, Wurtz.
Money Mitch is going to read an excerpt from a book. What's the book called, Mitch?
All right, so I said it wrong last episode. 1,000,000 miles in 1,000 years. I said 1,000 days.
Gotcha.
It's by Donald Miller.
Yeah. So that's what he's reading right now on phase 1. You're on day 18, is that right?
Yes.
Today? Yeah. Sick. But he's gonna he read this part of the book here, and he kind of brought this to our attention, like, hey, this could be a really good topic for you guys to kind of expand on a little bit in your own way. And because we're kind of right in the middle of this in-between time as far as our business goes, because we have a lot of things that are starting to take off, but then it goes for several other things, and we'll get into those as well. But Mitch, go ahead and read this quick excerpt for us.
Yeah, so this is the start of a chapter. The chapter is called The Thing About a Crossing. It begins like this. It's like this when you live a story. The first part happens fast. You throw yourself into the narrative, and you're finally out in the water. The shore is pushing off behind you, and the trees are getting smaller. The distant shore doesn't seem so far, and you can feel the resolution coming. The feeling of getting out of your boat and walking the distant beach. You think the thing is going to happen fast, that you'll paddle for a bit and arrive on the other side by lunch. But the truth is, it isn't going to be over soon. The reward you get from a story is always less than you thought it would be, and the work is always harder than you imagined. I guess the whole idea, so obviously I think this guy's based in like Seattle or something like this. So
Sorry, poor guy.
yeah, or Portland, which is even worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
Anywho, so he's using it in his own life story where he kayaks in whatever bays or whatever over there.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is, and Wurtz kind of touched on it too, it's the idea of a honeymoon phase when you first start something.
Mm-hmm.
You are just fired up when you start something, whether it's, you're starting to go to the gym. You're starting a new workout program.
Relationship.
You just started a new business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's all very cool because it's new and you think it's going to go way quicker, right? You get in the gym, a month from now, I'm going to be shredded. And then,
If only.
yeah. And then
If only.
then you get then you're a month into the gym and you realize you've made 5% progress toward your goal.
If that.
Yeah. And you're like,
Depending on where you're starting
yes.
from.
And you're like, damn, this is going to take a long time. So that's the idea is you start somewhere, The end doesn't look that far away when you start because you haven't had to do any of the work that's associated with it.
Without a doubt. And it honestly, I think a good way to lead this off would be delayed gratification. You know, as long as you can have an idea of that in your mind and have an understanding of that concept of delayed gratification, which we've talked a lot about in these types of episodes, you know, if you expect instant results, I can guarantee you will get no results.
Yeah. You're also going to get severely disappointed if you expect instant results.
You're going to get burnt out. You're going to feel
on
like
everything.
Lost. Yeah, absolutely.
On anything that you're expecting instant results on, you're going to get disappointed very badly.
Without a doubt. You know, when back in October 2020, when we started the original Extrication Fitness Instagram account.
We're old.
I know, dude. We're coming up on 3 years almost,
Yep.
which is nuts.
Yep.
You know, coming up on 2 years of the podcast, you know, coming up on 100 episodes here. What is this, 89, I think?
This is 89.
89,
Yep.
yeah. But, you know, if back when we started the Instagram and started posting and, you know, making the goofy videos when we would, you know, hang the phone on a tree and then start talking, which, like, honestly, we talk about good things.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We honestly should bring those back because
Yeah.
a lot of people like those. And they were fun to make because we were just goofy about it. You know, I'm not even kidding, guys. Like, we would hang our phone on a tree and stuff.
Yep.
Like, it was crazy.
When we didn't have the cameras and the tripods and all,
all the
100%.
fun tools, yeah.
Yeah.
But we were doing it, you know. But if we had an expectation of like, oh, dude, month from now we're gonna have 100K followers, it'd be easy. Instagram will be paying us. You know, we'll be sponsored by this brand or that brand. Easy. It's social media.
We'll be an overnight success.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Psych.
Lied.
Yeah,
That's a lie.
Yeah, right. But what would that have taught us about building a business? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
That it comes easy, that it comes quick, you know? And now that we're expanding on the things we want to do and we're starting to do them now with, you know, our test trial group of people and whatnot, and it's going really well so far, you know? And we've already, just from our first few calls and meetings and stuff with these people, we're already learning things. We're already learning good things, bad things on all of it.
Yep.
You know? And we've been training people for a long time, you know? And so we could have been like, well, doing it our way, like it's going to be easy. We already know what we're doing.
Yep.
Which there's an aspect where we do know what we're doing as far as that goes.
To a point, 100%.
Yes. Are you and I very, very good, if not great, at building workouts? Without a doubt. Without a doubt. We could do that all day.
Yep.
And we will get people results.
And personally connecting to people too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. But then all of the other things that we're adding in with our training and with our business, like that stuff we're learning how to do correctly, you know? And so without going through this process and being in this in-between time, we wouldn't learn any of that stuff. You know, we wouldn't learn the lessons. We wouldn't learn the value of hard work and putting in our time and putting in our effort and our money, for that matter. We wouldn't learn those things.
Yep.
You know?
Well, and where my head went when you brought up the podcast and how we're almost at 2 years now, it's always it fluctuated in the last, or at least went around the internet in the last probably 3 months or so. There was a statistic that went around that most podcasts, 90% of them, I believe it was, after 3 episodes, they're done. They call it after 3 episodes.
I believe it.
Now, the 10% of that group that get to 10 episodes, 90% of them quit.
Yeah.
After 10.
Yeah.
And we're at 89 now.
And guess what, dog? We're at 89.
Yeah. And again, it feels like we're at 300, which is
It kind of does.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason we've been doing this once a week too. So it feels a bit longer because of that reason. But
although if you guys watched us try to get each episode started, it would seem like we're recording our first episode. Which, like,
that's so true.
I really wish that we just had like a full-time camera crew on us.
Yeah.
Because like
full-time documentary.
It would just, the content would be awesome. It would be, it would be like wholesome.
Yep.
To an extent, because we have some really good conversations always right before we start recording, but also some of it is just heinous.
Oh, well, yeah, we'd probably get canceled about 15 times over, but that's okay.
15 times a day.
Yeah, but then we'd gain followers off of that because that's how it works with canceling and whatnot anyways.
Right.
But it was such an interesting statistic when I first saw that, because that originally jogged the idea of that delayed gratification when it came to the podcast in the first place. And fitness had already taught me that to a certain degree.
Sure.
And taught us that at that point in time. So having fitness as that baseline to it, you already know that you have to, again, like you told one of our clients, I've been doing this for 6-7 years now. So I'm already used to the stuff of just waiting for results to come.
Right.
I'm used to the waiting for results to come. So I think fitness is such an easy way to do that, and it taught us that with the podcast as well. But that even goes for the reason when Mitchell was going over, like kind of introing us a little bit there, it was interesting because I thought about this with a relationship too in the honeymoon phase. Because originally everything's super exciting with a relationship too.
For sure.
And then you have to learn to work together
Right.
and whatnot as well. And again, none of us are married, so obviously we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Right.
But again, there is an aspect of you have to learn to work with this person long term. And as we've seen with our parents, they seem to be doing pretty well
Absolutely.
with it, which is awesome.
Right.
So that
but
can touch on two things there. So the previous episode we just did the throwaway culture. This can
Definitely.
relate.
Such a good episode. We're getting a lot of
Yeah,
feedback
this
on that.
can relate where once you get past the honeymoon phase, you can't just throw that away.
Don't just pull the plug.
Right.
You're going to
Yeah.
have to do that work. And that's the idea of marriages is it's not easy. It requires work. Like you see our grandparents who've been married for 60 plus years. It's not like it's been perfect every time. It requires work. And the thing that I think that relates to that, and you said it well, was expectations. You guys didn't come into Untapped expecting to make $1 million the next day.
Right.
That's very true. We did temper our expectations there.
And I think that's really good. And that's the reason why we're going to make it to thousands of podcasts, because we're not setting a number or an expectation that, once we hit 1,400, we're done. No. Yes.
We'll call it 300.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be good.
You see
then.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
The only expectation is what we set is that there's going to be work.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
There's no goal, right? We may
So true.
We may
That's
have
good.
we may have goals that we're going to hit, 100,000 followers. Cool. Next step. Cool. Next step. That's not the end goal. It is the step.
Right.
And I think expectations is a big part of that in between period as well.
For sure.
You talked about that on Merry Monday. With
Yes.
not just goals. It shouldn't all be just goals. And that's
systems.
it. Yes.
Systems.
Yeah.
100%.
And like what Mitchell said, he said it's the work.
Yes.
That should be your goal, is just the work.
Absolutely. Because, and back to let's just say we said, 300 episodes is probably all we're going to do for the Untapped podcast. Guess what? Episode 301 would have been the one that we take off on.
Exactly.
We were one away.
Exactly.
And we never knew.
Yep.
You could be one sales call away. You could be one meeting like what we're having away. We could be one podcast episode away. I'm not going to tell you could be one workout away because it's a little bit different.
Right.
It's a little bit
Right.
different, but you could be 1 week away from, if you're training for a bodybuilding show, you could be 1 week away. You need one last thing, one last week of cutting or one last week of the
consistent
diet.
cardio,
Exactly.
cutting, yeah.
Exactly. In that instance, that could be very, very true. Okay. You could be one freaking thing away, dude. That's it. It could be the next one. It could be the next day. It could be the next call. It could be the next relationship you build. It could be the next connection you make. Any of it.
Yep.
And if you build those systems around your goals, because what I said in that Merry Monday, you're exactly right. I'm glad you brought this up. Have the goals, because that has its purpose. There's nothing wrong with having goals. And I will never tell anyone to not have goals.
Yep.
Goals get you started. It gives you a direction to go. But if you can build the systems around the goal, that is where the longevity comes from, without a doubt, with anything.
Yep.
And we've built really good systems for ourselves.
Can they
And
be better? 100%.
And all three of us have built systems that have failed,
Exactly.
with lots of things. But we've also built systems that are successful, very successful. Individually, as a group, as a company, you and me, like all of it.
Yep.
So it's trial and error. And if you only get focused on finishing a goal, you'll never know what to do next. If you can implement and build a system, you will always have something that's next.
Love that.
Yeah.
There was a tweet I saw. This guy named Tyler Tout or something like that is his name on Twitter. Phenomenal account. He literally in this account, or in this tweet, I should say, he literally said, "It took me 6.5 years to become an overnight success."
Yeah. I think you sent that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy, he was a bank manager before that, and he hated his job. And literally said at 6.5 years ago, that's when he started to spend more to basically like the whole idea of this was to spend more time with his family and spend more time living his life. And so he started a business and did a little bit more coaching work and whatnot, stuff that gives him more flexibility through Twitter and what his other social medias. And he literally said, yeah. And finally, however many months ago it was, it clicked. Now I'm at 160,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah.
But it took me, but everybody calls me an overnight success. They say that must be nice.
Dude,
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Must be nice to be jacked. Right, Wurtz?
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice. Yeah. Happened overnight. Jackass.
I just took trend the next day I was jacked.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. This is interesting too. I'm sure you heard this, but the other day, Andy Frisell talked about I think it's the Japanese bamboo tree.
Yep.
Okay. So you plant the seed for this Japanese bamboo tree, you water it, you give it the correct soil, you do all the right stuff to help it grow. For 5 years, you have to do that, and you won't see anything.
That's so crazy. I watched this video. That is crazy to me.
For 5 years, you water it, you feed it, correct soil, all of that, correct sunlight, all of it. Once it sprouts, starts to sprout, sticks to the ground, in 8 weeks, it grows to 80 feet tall.
That's insane.
But for 5 years, you saw nothing, and then in 8 weeks, it blows up. And if that couldn't be a better metaphor for fitness, we're seeing this with business, with content, starting to post content like on social media. If you're wanting to become a content creator, you got to start and you got to have an understanding that you're not going to have 10,000 views on every single video you post, just like the guys that you might follow or the gals you might follow. It took those people. What I'm discovering with all the different content creators, like the big ones that I've had the opportunity to connect with, is that it takes a minimum of a year, is what I'm finding, for content creation to really blow up as an account.
Consistent content creation.
Minimum a year.
Yep.
And a year is not that long. If you can put in the work every day, every week, every month, that's not that bad. That's not that bad. From the things that can come from that, we've talked about social media as a tool. The things that can come from it, like a year's not that bad. You know what I mean? But there's so many people that they post for a week and they're like, damn, I got 150 views. Well, dude, you never know. The one you post tomorrow, the algorithm could love, and then you have 150,000 views.
There you go.
So and that's the mindset that I have with content, because I could have every reason in the book to stop putting in all the effort I am to making the videos I do. I'm always like walking around the town center that's near my neighborhood, looking for different like cool story type content videos that I could film and whatnot. Actually got some the other night, which I'm freaking pumped about. Ideas, not videos yet. But I don't have to do any of that. I would have every reason in the book right now to give up, because
100%.
I have several that sometimes they don't even get 1,000 views.
Yep.
And then I've got a few that just take off.
What, you're at 10, 15K or so?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a few. It's not like every single one of them by any means, but it's like, oh man, this only got 700. Why'd the last one get 13,000? I'll just give up. No.
Yes.
So
exactly.
That's just that I love that bamboo tree that he's talked about.
Well, when you think about it, in our case, you and I have been putting the correct soil down, watering, correct sunlight for 3 years now.
Yeah, I would almost say it's probably been more like a year and a half.
It really has been.
Because at first it was just like an Instagram account. We didn't really know what we
didn't know what the hell we were
wanting
doing.
to do.
Yeah. It's like what Mark says. Nobody actually knows what they're doing.
Right.
They just kind of learn along the way.
Right.
Even if they have people like we know Mark, we know Jeff, we know all these guys that are successful. We know Matt, we know Murph and all them. But again, you're just learning along the way. So you're
Absolutely.
right. We've had the hammer down for about a year and a half.
Right.
Of what we've known.
Sure.
We started kind of putting some soil down for that first year and a half.
Right.
And the second year and a half, we've actually started putting like, we're actually adding sunlight now.
Like, hey, we should actually do it. You know?
and now this last 2 weeks, 3 weeks with the calls and whatnot, we've been like, let's add some, let's water the yard a little bit this time instead of only having sunlight and soil and that's it now.
Right.
So that's
it's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
And like Mitch said earlier, or I think it was Mitch that said it earlier. It's just no work. We don't have a specific number of episodes. We don't have a specific number of clients or anything like that. Like obviously we have goals and whatnot. And right now we're building the systems to do that and then have the longevity of it. But, and you have to, you have to set goals. I just don't want that to get misconstrued, saying like, oh, they said that you don't have to have goals, so I'm just not going to have goals and I'll just work.
the goals.
Well, then you're working for nothing.
Yep.
Like you don't know what you're working towards, so you're going to get burnt out.
You're just kind of working.
Yeah, you're just a cog on the wheel.
Putting hours in.
There's a direction now.
Yes, exactly. And so, where was I going with that though?
That we just aren't going to stop. We know what we're aiming for.
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't mean we're going to stop.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't mean we're going to stop when we hit the supposed because there's no peak.
No,
there's no such thing as that.
No, because once you start to get to the peak, you quickly realize around the corner, oh, what's that big shadow? Oh shit, that's the next peak. You know what I mean? And if you can't think like that, you got to change your systems.
Man, I thought I was just climbing Pikes Peak. Apparently, I have to climb to Mount Everest now.
Oh hell yeah, we just grossed $1 million. Oh, there's 100 million.
Yeah, there's 10. There's 30, 100. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't stop at that point in time. There's no way that's an option. And man, it's so interesting because even if you're just let's say an entrepreneur, you're an employee of some sort, or you're just trying to build a nice lifestyle for yourself, you're also not going to be able to do that if you just change course every 6 months.
Oh yeah, 100%.
On the stuff you're on.
Pick something and stick to it.
You have to.
Yeah.
You cannot just fleet from thing to thing. You can't go to you can't just go from e-commerce to content creation. Next thing you know, you're
drop
at
shipping.
You're at drop shipping. Next thing you know, you're doing like affiliate marketing and whatnot every 3 months, every 6 months or whatever.
Right.
And expect to have traction.
Right.
Well, that applies to me directly, right? I'm in cybersecurity. I couldn't just say, man, I'm tired of cybersecurity. I'm going to go into accounting. Like that makes no sense. But there's also nuance within that is within, say, corporate lifestyle, you stay within that kind of focused space, but you still want to move in that direction of that focus space, right?
Yes.
I might not always be in my position I'm currently in, but I want to chase maybe a director and then C-suite and then your own company.
You're on the board. Right? You're on the board of directors. You're chasing your own company.
Yes, it's not just it's not just you get in the cubicle and then you do what you're pigeonholed into doing exactly what you do for the rest of your life. Right. No, that's
day by day.
That's called you're stagnating. You're not going anywhere. You don't have a direction or goals anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's you only have systems. Like Wurtz said.
You still need to be moving somewhere.
You just have systems and that's it.
Right.
Even an entrepreneur.
There's no work.
Because that happens to a lot of folks is they get pigeonholed in their position and they're there. This happened to boomers, but I think Gen Z is a little bit different. But right, you get your cubicle position, you get the desk with your name on it, and you're there for the next 30 to 40 years.
Right.
That's not purpose.
And if you can apply that ideology of just, I go to work every day, if you can apply that to something you're passionate about, the things you will accomplish are endless and big, and yeah, I mean, all of what we just talked about there in those few minutes goes exactly into what we talked about last episode, and obviously that was a little bit directed more towards relationships and towards, young men because we did it as a Knight's Table episode, but it still applies, and what you'll quickly find out is when you embark on something new, like it's not going to be easy, and if you don't have the quality systems built up, if you don't have the quality mindset built up, like you're gonna freak out when you experience your first setback or your first frustration, or if you just don't have an understanding, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take you said completely changing everything up every 6 months. Okay, when things go wrong, when you experience a setback, a frustration, a roadblock, if you can just find a new path, but still headed in the same direction as that goal, as that thing, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You just have to build a new system. That's all. That's all you have to do. Be frustrated for a second, be disappointed that this path didn't work out, but that doesn't mean you just give up.
Yep.
Instead of facing this way, now you got to make a right turn. Now you got to face this way. It's simple. It really is. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple.
Yes. I have a couple directions I'll go off of that too. One of them being one thing that's helped me and of going off of what you just said there is you know, like the age old phrase, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yes, of course.
I love that phrase. That phrase helps me keep a chip on my shoulder. So there are like little systems like that you can implement for yourself of like, because for me, having a chip on my shoulder helps me a lot.
Yeah.
It's like that sound I put on my reel last week. And I was like, of Andy, he was like, I want to shove it down everybody's throats.
Yeah.
Yes, that is part of it. And where I was going with that is, you know, I get home from a 10-hour shift or whatever of just the work that's helping fund this right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to go program. I really don't want to sit down and work on our app right now. Work on the actual overview of what we need to have prep for our clients in this coming phase.
Right.
But then I'm like, but doing that will make me different than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So then I'm like, okay, I can sit down on my computer.
Yeah. Right. Well,
that's Mitchell saw that last night. That's what I did. I got home from work and I got right to the computer right away after 10 hours. Because this rejuvenates me. Yeah. And I'm like, well, again, this is going to separate me from anybody else I talk to.
And then if I do this, I don't have to work those 10-hour shifts anymore.
Exactly.
You know?
And I don't want to do that shit.
No, of course not. Of course not. You know, and what's also cool too, and we've talked about this before too, but and I know you'll agree with this, but the way I think about it too in those types of situations, like if I don't do this, I'm letting Gabel down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
I'm leaving Wurtz hanging here.
Exactly. So there's also an element of like, I'm not letting my brother down. You know, like I'm not doing that. I might not want to do this, and I can tell you I don't because I'm tired, my feet hurt, blah, 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 I'm hungry, whatever. But if I don't do this, I'm letting him down. I'm letting our future down. It's not just me that's involved. You know, we have multiple people. So that also at least helps me.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one thing too is I think I promised Mitchell I'm going to buy him a GT3 Porsche in the future. So that's one thing too is like, well, if I don't sit down on the computer right now, I definitely can't buy Mitchell a Porsche in the future.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen.
Exactly.
So
Porsche.
It doesn't matter.
Also, don't piss him off because we're going to need him to run our cybersecurity.
That future. Too. Yeah, so we don't get hacked every 2 seconds. Because if it was us running the cybersecurity, we'd have no website.
China would just own our company in seconds.
Come buy our stuff, and then all of a sudden
it's just Alibaba viruses.
Oh,
and that's
my Lord.
Yeah, that's what it would be without Mitchell. But I mean, again, you got to think about it in the context of fitness with us too. If when I tweaked my sciatic nerve, I was like, well, I guess I can't live Tevye ever again. That's such coward shit. Like, tell me that is not such coward shit.
My head hurts. Guess I had to take a week. Oh.
Actually, I wanted to comment on that earlier.
You're soft, Wurtz.
Well, yeah, Wurtz is soft, but anywho,
we gotta get a zoom in here.
What's it called?
Hello,
notice
darkness.
You notice he didn't say he just sat on the couch the entire week.
Oh, absolutely
exactly.
Not. Absolutely not.
Yes.
He wasn't just a couch potato for a week. That would have regressed him months.
Big time.
Here.
Yeah. Fat Wurtz would have been knocking on the door, knock.
You literally, it's so funny. Whenever I talk to you, you think Fat Wurtz is like a day around the corner.
He is.
He's
creeping right now over there,
which,
dude.
by the way, is a sick mindset to have because Skinny Jacob's also around the corner for me. So, like, I get it. I do.
Wurtz took a week off from 6% body fat to just 30% overnight.
6.
Yeah, he definitely though.
Yeah, he's at 6.
Yeah, he was like,
proven.
dude, my scan was bad this week. I was like, I wonder why, Mr. Cortisol.
Yeah, Mr. I didn't sleep.
Yeah,
forever.
I didn't sleep. Yeah.
But yes, again, you notice even in the in between period where you may have a lull, you're still working
for sure, dude. We moved my sister into college earlier this week, which first of all, that's nuts. Not okay with that.
Tears crying.
100%, without a doubt.
Rip Sarah.
But well, she's still alive. But
I was hoping you'd say that.
Good Lord. But we had 2 3-hour drives in the same day. We got home about 9 o'clock at night. After leaving at 9 in the morning, I was like, I am so sick of sitting around all day. So I went and walked. You know what I mean? Like I had to.
It's a system. It's your system.
Bingo.
That's exactly. And again, I talked to so many people who, some things changed around at my job. Now I'm only, going to this 2 times a week. I'm only walking 2 times a week now instead of the 5 I was doing. I'm only training 2 times a week now at jiu-jitsu or boxing or doing string training 2 times a week instead of 5 now. It's like, bro, it took that to throw you off.
Yeah, like
that's all it took. Like, bro, like literally a soft breeze of air could knock you over. Like, come on, straight up. That is so soft.
No, literally. And here's the thing with walking. Bro, you do not get home from work and then immediately go to bed. Go walk your ass outside for 20 minutes. For 30 minutes.
It's so true. It's so easy.
Like, walking's the easiest one out there.
And again, it's proven to increase longevity out the ass.
Unless you live in, like, Memphis or East St. Louis.
Then you're going to die.
Then,
yeah. Yeah. Then you're going to get gunned down.
You're going to get clobbered.
You're going to get clobbered by 3 dudes with a shiesty on. So it's over in Memphis there.
Or East St. Louis. For that
Rip Young Dolph, by the way, speaking of Memphis. That's a tough one.
I see dollar signs.
Hard.
Went from sleeping on the floor. Love that line.
It's so tough.
Yeah.
So tough.
Anyway.
Right. Not a Dolph segment here. Sorry.
Not a Dolph segment. Although if that could be our intro song too, that'd be sick.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in.
Just copyright it. It's ours now.
Sorry, Real AF. That's ours.
We're better.
We are. 89 episodes in. Easy
Yeah.
money.
Sorry, did you have Big Will on your podcast, Andy? Yeah, I didn't think so. Did you have JT, Connor, Jeff LeVecchio? I didn't think so either. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, you had a sitting U.S. senator. Okay. Wow. Cool, dude.
A little representative of our country
Yeah,
on
whatever,
the
bro.
podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna hear a knock at our door if you guys don't cut that shit out right now.
The fact that the feds haven't come for us yet is mind-blowing to me. So,
It's those IRS agents.
Oh, yeah, they shot each other the other day.
What were they training for, though?
Well, they're trained to take our taxes. They're not doing a very good job of that. 'Cause
Not very good at shooting either.
it's like the wheelchair ones I sent you. Picture.
They shot each other, bro. That's crazy. That is crazy, bro.
Just a trash 3-letter agency. No, get Mike
This is
Glover.
useless.
Get Mike Glover in there right now. Get their
Yeah.
tactical training up. Get Sheepdog
Dude,
Response, Tim
it's
Kennedy
so
in there. They
bad.
need it. Real
It's
bad.
So bad, dude.
They're shooting each other and training exercise for our taxes.
Yeah, it's bad. All right, anyway, let's wrap this up here. Okay? Let's wrap this up. You will quickly find out, okay? It's not going to be easy. It's going to take
Yes.
work. You will experience setbacks. You will experience frustrations. You will experience roadblocks, but you got to find a way to get around it. You got to find a new path. You can't just completely deviate from that goal, from that system that you're building. You can't, okay? You have to stay looking forward. You just have to go a different direction. Okay?
Stay the damn course.
Yes, it'll be easy to give up, but you can't. You just can't. So,
We're not stopping. You guys shouldn't.
exactly, dude. Guys, at the end of all of our episodes, Money Mitch, our wonderful producer, asks us a Q&A question that is submitted by you guys, the listeners, or the viewers, okay? You can submit these questions a few different ways, okay? First, this is probably the best way. Instagram DMs, okay? Go to our @untapped.llp account on Instagram. Just DM us your questions. Could be about anything. Could be about one of our 4 main formats. It could be a guest recommendation. Honestly, that would be great. If there's someone you guys want to see on the podcast, we will do everything we can to get them on there. Honestly, I kind of love that idea. So if there is someone that you guys want to see us bring onto the podcast, let us know.
Great work there by you.
Yeah, absolutely. But if your question has to do with our 4 main formats, that's great. If it's just something else that we can help you out with, we will do our best to do that.
You can send to the personals too.
You can also DM them to our personal Instagrams, and then you can leave them in the comments on YouTube. If you're close to us, like, you can just text them to us. But anyway, all of these questions go to Money Mitch. He just keeps a bank of them, and then he picks one out that usually fits right in with our topic, interestingly enough, which works out well usually.
It's because we got a good bank of people sending them in.
We do, without a doubt.
And it keeps the conversation moving and kind of gives
does.
the listeners a little bit of extra
sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it keeps us on our toes too, because obviously we to a point plan out our episodes and we get main points that we want to hit on and whatnot. But then the Q&As we have to answer, off the top of the head. So anyway, Money Mitch,
what do you guys think about the suffering in silence saying, where essentially you're just without anyone, or I guess another more relevant term would be like ghost mode that we've seen a lot. I'm going to go ghost.
Going dark.
Yeah, and you guys aren't going to fight. Next year, you're going to see. What do you guys think of that?
Zero
trend?
Dark Savage.
Yep. Yeah. What do you, yeah. What do you
I
guys,
just made that up on the spot.
what do you guys think? What do you guys think of that trend? Is there any validity to it?
Validity? I think it could have its purpose. I'm not sure validity.
I'm sure, yeah. So if we're talking scientific evidence, I'm not sure there's been any studies on, suffering in silence done. But
in your opinion, do you think it is a
useful tool?
Yes.
I would say if you can basically build yourself and carve yourself out of stone by yourself with no other help, you're going to be in a ridiculously fire mental spot.
Yeah, I agree.
If you have that mental strength to do that yourself.
For sure.
And I'm mainly talking as a dude here because a lot of times emotionally we're built to do something like that. But also a lot of times men do suffer in silence in different ways, in bad ways.
Sure.
But if you have the ability to build the confidence and build the physique, build the business, whatever, build the success by yourself and basically dig yourself out of a hole by yourself, you're going to be literally, like, people are going to say you're built different when in reality you just work different.
So I agree. I do. Especially like the pulling yourself out of a hole by yourself, because there's only one person that can truly do that. It's not a therapist. Yes. It's not a coach. It's you. Okay. But all of those things, we know how much further you will go with the right people around you.
Yeah.
You know? So I think there can be a period of time, Mitch, that can absolutely be utilized. We kind of talked about this with the demon mode, because it's a very similar type ideology, if not identical, in ways. I think for a period of time, it can be extremely useful if necessary. But you and I, all three of us, know how much further and how much more knowledgeable and how much richer, not necessarily only financially, but just richer in life.
Yes.
You
I love
are
that. Yeah.
with the correct people around you. I mean, look at the events we've gone to here in the past month and a half, 2 months. Look at the people we're around. Look at the people we have on our podcast. You know, even from early on in our first season with Sam, your brother, Trent, you know, all these guys, you know, and all of those guest episodes, for example, are some of our best episodes as far as viewership, listenership, all of that. And there's a reason for that, because those people allow us to then go further with our podcast. They give us ideas on how to build a business, and those people also introduce us to other people that can help us in other ways.
Yes.
And then we find ways to help them too. You know, we've talked about relationships being conditional. You bring us value, we're going to do our hardest to bring you value as well. You know? So while I do think suffering in silence, quote unquote, suffering in silence can definitely be useful, I think we all know how much further you will go with the right people around you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Now, the suffering in silence for men that you're talking about that lead to, you know, male suicide rates being insanely high.
Being 4 times higher than women, yeah.
Yes. And it's not a competition for that matter, but that's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact, you know? And that's because men don't feel like they can talk about anything. And that's why we're building the men's group that we are. That's why we go to the men's groups that we go to. That's why we go to be at events around the people that we do, you know, and we build brotherhood rather.
Yep.
You know? And I mean, hell, I even talked about this in my Instagram caption today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I just think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, so I that's exactly where I wanted you to go with that. Kind of to cap off like the suffering in silence and building yourself, it can be a temporary tool. I think it's more of like a 6 month to a year tool at most a lot of times. But it's like you said, I couldn't sit down and do this podcast by myself. I wouldn't be able to understand the Roadcaster by myself. I wouldn't be able to operate that by myself. I wouldn't be able to continue a conversation by myself for an hour and a half.
Sure.
Because it was just at some point in time, I feel like I was just talking to the air. And it's weird.
Yeah.
That's why it's so beneficial to have you as a co-host, because I feel like we can bounce stuff off each other.
Yeah.
Now, as for the suffering in silence, like, you know, male suicide rate and whatnot, I feel like a lot of the times the reason the suicide rate is higher is because I feel like those men that do end up taking their own life, I feel like they get in. Men, if we get in a dark spot, we get in a really dark spot.
Mm-hmm. It can spiral really fast.
It feels like you're at the literally buried underneath a mountain.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. A lot of the times, of course, I'm not generalizing here, but it's some real shit. Like men have a lot on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Like that's not really talked about. It's not really talked about that men deal with a lot. It's most of the last, again, like 30 plus years has been just feminism and what women apparently deal with in the workplace, or, being oppressed apparently, and all that stuff. So but men's issues don't really get talked about like that. We're not talked about that we're expected to be at the same level or higher financially than a female. It's not talked about that we have basically a lot of the financial burden, and basically the child's success in life depends if the father is there or not, and is involved in that kid's life. That is a big, big burden for men to carry.
Absolutely.
And I really think that's part of the reason that male suicide rate is so much higher, because weirdly enough, female depression rates are higher, but our suicide rate is higher. Isn't that weird?
Interesting.
Exactly. So it seems conflicting.
Yeah.
But my guess is that those men in that spot are just that much deeper.
Right.
Women aren't near as deep in the depression at the time. Obviously, there are women that are, of course.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not discounting that, as people should know, because apparently in the comments on our last post, people don't understand nuance at all. But as we found out last 2 days, yeah. But I mean, there is real talk. Being a dude is hard. I put a ton on myself.
Absolutely.
I put all that responsibility on myself, so my wife and my kids can have an easy life, so my parents and my brother can have an easy life, so you can have an easy life. I put all that stuff on my shoulders.
Right.
There's not necessarily that weight on a female's shoulders most of the time.
No, but the feminist movement has tried to put that on them.
There you go. And that might be why their depression rates are also higher.
Exactly.
Oh,
and honestly,
geez.
I think that could potentially be a really good Knights Table episode topic there.
100%.
We could expand on that a lot more. But anyway, I think we're both in agreement. The suffering in silence could, in the positive ways, can be used as a temporary. Now, in the other ways, PTSD with veterans and things like that,
don't suffer in silence.
Don't need to suffer in silence. And maybe that's something we bring on Trent again to talk about, because he would have the scientific side of all that.
It's probably more of a build yourself in silence compared to suffer in silence.
Love that. Yep.
Yeah,
100%
that's probably better.
Yeah.
Because suffer in silence sounds like you need to be carrying a boulder up a mountain or something
Literally,
like that. Which
like Atlas.
I mean, go ahead. That's dope.
Right.
But,
that's some Cam Haynes type stuff.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That dude's savage. But build yourself in silence, to me, sounds better.
I like that a lot.
For sure.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be Season 3, Episode 20. If you found value in this episode, which I know you 100%
As
did.
we know.
Okay, stop the cap saying you didn't. Okay, that's enough of that.
Our DMs say differently.
Yeah, that's right. Dude. Yeah. We had a lot of people reach out about our last episode talking about the throwaway culture, and I fully expect us to get a very similar response from this one. So much for keeping this one short, hey, dude.
Again, I think as we continue to get more and more comfortable with this, it's just going to happen.
Yeah, we just start rattling stuff off, and
because we're sick.
Sure.
And they are conversations that need to happen.
And they need.
I was going to touch on with the suffer in silence. Shout out to Mark for the Omen Social. The conversations we had there, right? We goofed around, of course, because you're not going.
We like
to
have
that.
fun, yeah.
But the conversations I personally had, and I know you guys did as well, there were some very significant conversations that happened with guys I don't normally speak with, and that's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, and without the suffering and silence thing, you cannot have those conversations by yourself.
No.
You just can't.
No, there's no way.
Without a doubt.
No shot.
No, there's no way.
It's not just you trying to hold up the world by yourself.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yep, exactly. Well, second go around here, but that's going to be Season 3, Episode 20, guys. If you found value, please share the shows, okay? It helps us out tremendously.
Yes.
It is free, and it's very, very easy to do so off of Spotify, off of Apple Music, even off of YouTube. Take a screenshot, okay? So please share the show. Please reach out to us with things you liked, maybe things you didn't like, okay? But we will take in any advice we can get from you, okay? And any thoughts.
In the interaction.
Absolutely.
It all helps us. That free stuff helps us more than you guys know.
Absolutely.
Whether you're buying a shirt or not, whether you're buying training or not, whatever.
Right.
Even without that stuff, the free interaction helps so much.
Without a doubt.
We can't emphasize that enough.
Yep.
Emphasize. Yeah.
100%. So, guys, until next time, peace and love.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.